So this song is called "Cozy Christmas," uh, and it does feel a little cozy. I don't know what it is about the lo-fi Christmas music that I really like, but whenever I'm like searching through like our big library of music, I always end up that's like what I always end up going towards. So we talked just briefly before we started that apparently I don't think there's any emo Christmas music, and I couldn't find any on our royalty free site there. But boohoo for us, Matt.
We'll work on it. There's an open market for anyone listening that wants to get into that niche. So bring some sadness to the season.
Welcome to another episode of You've Got to Be Sha Tinning Me. Obviously, last week we had kind of the big races, and if I remember, I think I gave out Junko on there, and he won at a much lower price than I thought maybe we would get, but won nonetheless. And then yeah, Luxembourg ran second again. That horse
As
really just
as
hates
he
to
wants
win,
to
huh?
do,
Oh
does not
man.
like it, and thought he was going to get there, and kind of ruined my late pick three because I had the last two legs, but probably a little too spicy trying to uh, get around and rely on Luxembourg to catch me out. So it happens. So it goes. But yeah,
Yep.
kind of a chalky day as those big days tend to do sometimes. So.
Yeah, I remember a few years back, maybe it was last year or 2 years ago, actually. There was one of those Danon horses came in from Japan and won at a humongous price. I thought it was on this day, but if it wasn't, it was on the other their other big stakes day. But yeah, so I've been chasing that Japanese high ever since, and unfortunately, we came a little short last week. But I came out net positive with the win bet on that horse Junko, and I had the Quinella with Luxembourg and. What was the other horse? Was it Romantic Warrior in that
Yep.
race? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'll tell you what. If there's one thing I'm awful at, it's remembering horses. And apparently, that's a very important and good skill to have when capping races. I talk with Tommy Massis every once in a while, and he'll be like we'll talk about a race, and he just doesn't even need the PPs. He's like, yeah, that horse, ran second, 2 races back, 3 races back, he got held up. Like he just like remembers it. I'm like, dude, I do not have that memory. I need if it's not on the piece of paper in front of me, I don't know. But I'm sure that's very helpful and saves a lot of time. Unfortunately, not a skill I have.
Neither do I, but I think it's good and bad, right? Having a short memory in this game probably can help you a lot of times too.
Yeah.
So you take what you get, take what they give you, and you know, use it to your advantage.
Yeah. So next week, Wednesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we will be we're gonna have a nice holiday special, an on the wrong lead Christmas. We'll be doing that live on our YouTube channel. Matt, I know you said you got to find out what's going on with your stuff. I think Andrew is also um, up in the air. But I do have some other guests lined up. I also have at least Caleb is committed. I can't imagine Mark has any plans. No reason why I would assume that, but uh, so hopefully we'll have a nice full house for that. You know, we'll talk racing, but it'll just be I think just be a nice time to just BS, have a couple drinks. Obviously, we are recording this Saturday morning, so my usual whiskey and or barrel aged beer has been replaced by coffee, but barrel aged beer mug. So unfortunately, it does not impart any taste on the coffee. Although, have you ever had the barrel aged coffee before?
I have not. No,
No.
no. I, I kind of thought it was a gimmick, and I don't know. Normally, if I'm drinking a lot of coffee, it's because I'm recovering from a whiskey taste anyway.
Hmm.
So I'm probably trying to get away from the bourbon notes.
That's basically what it is. It tastes like you put bourbon in your coffee, but there's no alcohol in it. And you kind of I like to taste the bourbon, but then also it's kind of like, what is the point?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, any fun holiday plans? I don't know. Your family local? You're going to be doing anything fun
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I come from, both my parents are, kind of come from big families. So we always do Christmas Eve over my mom's side and, Christmas Day over my dad's side. And, my dad's one of seven, my mom's one of four. So big family, a lot of kids running around, at least on my mom's side, and I got two kids of my own. So, holiday plans for now is probably to start some holiday shopping. Hopefully get some budget through this late pick three, and wrap up work and start the stuff I should have been doing the past month or so. And we'll see how it goes. It's always a race to the finish. So we gotta start this next week because I'm running out of time.
Yeah. Just so you guys know how A, degenerate I am, and B, how early we're recording this. My alarm to wake me up just went off in the background if you heard that. um but yeah, I literally I think just finished my Christmas shopping. I think I have a couple packages still coming. But they should be here soon. My Secret Santa gift is on its way from the UK apparently. So that'll be interesting to see who that's from and what it is. Um, but yeah, I did notice you left off, you know, many a husband's uh, least favorite words while talking about visiting people. I didn't hear the word in-laws.
So my mother-in-law, God bless her, is down in Florida, and
Mm,
so we schedule some time later on. I'm trying to negotiate how to figure out how to pull a Gulfstream trip out of there
oh, there you
next time
go.
we visit. But we'll see. There's nothing on the calendar yet, but we had a few years. Eh, having a 19-month-old and traveling is
Yeah.
real hard. So we don't visit that often lately, and with COVID and everything going on, it just gets tough. But my father-in-law, we do visit it. We just do it later on because we kind of go between Christmas and New Year's week, just find a time and celebrate there. So we will visit then, but that's a much smaller crowd. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
making the rounds. That's kind of what the holidays are to me. It's just once you get all the family obligations done, you're kind of out of time. So
Yeah. Isn't it funny? I feel and maybe it was just me, but I feel like this happens to a lot of people when they first get married. They're like super diligent, and they're like, we're gonna visit my family, we're gonna visit your family, like, and then like I remember on Thanksgiving, I used to drive, and all of our family is local. Like some aunts and stuff are far away, but like our parents are all here. Um, my mom and my father-in-law are both still with us, and they're both still local, and they but before, we used to go to my wife's aunt's house at like noon, eat dinner at like 2. I would leave at like 3:30, drive over to my mom and dad's house and eat again. And on top of it, it's like an hour drive in between, 45 minutes. And we used to do this every year when we started seriously dating to, when we first got married. And it's just too much, man. I could not imagine doing something like that with kids, let alone just like that. So we decided to finally split that off. Okay, my family will do Thanksgiving, her family will do Easter, um, Christmas. We do Christmas Eve one day at my family, and then we do Christmas Day with her family. But and that's not too bad. But for a couple of years, I was doing the singing thing, and Christmas Mass. I would no joke from uh go to the church at about 4 for a like 5 or 6 p.m. mass. Get out, go to my mom's house, or go to my parents' house, and we would eat dinner. Got to leave at 10 to get to the church by 11 for midnight mass. Leave at about 2 in the morning to wake up and do it all over again for 9 a.m. mass, and then we would go see my wife's family. And I was just like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, why did I not just say no to this? Luckily, we only did that like 1 or 2 years. Then my friend who was running the music program at the church is like, this is probably excessive. Let's just do the midnight mass, which is like the worst of the three masses, but
yep.
at least it's only one. So we did the midnight mass thing for a bit. Um, but it's nice, right? Because you still get credit for going, right? I don't care. I mean, yeah, I was getting a paycheck, but right, I was also at church, so right, they didn't say
Yeah,
anything about not getting paid while
just
going to
being there,
church.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Thinking back to my my Catholic school days, I'm pretty sure they're not checking your pay stub at the
yeah,
on the way out. So
yeah. I mean, did I donate any of it? I mean, yes, I did. I did to those who needed it more than I did at the windows.
yeah,
But
our Lord and Savior, the New York Racing Association,
uh,
the Holy Trinity of New York, Kentucky, and California. So
yeah, but
little sacrilege for your podcast.
oh man. But yeah, we got a fun little late pick three here at Sha Tin this evening. But I will say it was kind of funny talking about this beforehand. I was like, we were talking about one of the races, and I think we might see these these races completely different. So this should be interesting. I will go ahead and pull the PPs up here, but we're gonna start with race eight. Oh, I forgot the PPs don't work. I don't know what's up with that. We're gonna start with race eight here. Um, we're gonna be going class four racing, 1,600 meters. So we're going that 1 mile, one turn mile. Um, and I have not looked at the odds board yet, but I have a feeling I am on the likely morning line favorite. The two aestheticism here for Zach Purton. And this is a horse that just seems like he's just rounding into form. Obviously, 4 years old. That tends to be when these turf horses kind of reach their peak or start getting into their real peak. And this is the horse that they kind of just gradually added a little bit of distance to it, and he just seemed to progressively get a little bit better, a little bit better. And then lo and behold, they put Zach aboard, and the horse takes a step forward, and then wins next time out. And then now Zach is aboard for the third straight time. That generally tells me that Zach thinks his horse is still good. So if it's good enough for Zach, it's good enough for me in this spot, especially because in this race there were definitely many places he could have gone, as there are other horses that he's ridden in this spot. So. Um, the one concern I do have for the two is going to be the lack of pace in this race. You might get a fair pace in here, maybe, but I mean, outside of maybe the four and the five, there doesn't really seem to be very much of any type of clear, leader in this race. So I did back up my pick of the two with a single B in the five horse Lucky Eternity here. Is getting the 2 pound weight break with the bug here. And nearly won race last time out, going wire to wire here at Sha Tin at the same distance. Has run pretty well here at Sha Tin. He's got a couple of seconds, 3 seconds in the last five races there, um, and has got a third in 9 starts. But seems like I said, this seems to be one that is in the right side of his form cycle. And now you're getting a couple of pounds here. Maybe that's enough to make up that extra, the 3/4 of a length he needed last time. But I think the last two times that he's run pretty decent, he's kind of been kind of dueling with another horse. I mean, there's a possibility that maybe he gets a little loose here because even though the four has led some races, those are going farther distances. Those are going 1,800 meters, not in 1,600. It seemed to sit a little bit off. So I thought the five Lucky Eternity was interesting as a B type, but I think I'm gonna have 75% of my money going through the two aestheticism in this spot.
Yeah, I think I saw the race kind of different from you, but for a lot of the same reasons. And actually did end up on the two similarly as an A. So I won't talk anymore about that. But I think we've talked a little bit, right? Like I try some things here, right? I try making my own figures, and I try, kind of trying to map out some pace here. Um, just looking at the figures that I made initially when I scrolled through it, I had about 9 horses that are all within like a length of each other. incredibly challenging, I think, to try and separate these things out. So I may have a ticket that goes 9 wide between like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 14, maybe the 8. Like there's just a lot in there that I think if they run their race and get a setup, probably are good enough to win this. Um, all that said, I think pace wise, I did think there would be a little bit of a challenge up front. I thought the 5, like its last out, it, kind of barely got clipped. Chadwick was up and it gets the 2 pound weight break, like you said. But I do think that track was playing incredibly forward too. And really, to me, that means it probably didn't have much of an excuse. So, couple that with the fact that it drew the 13 post, so it's going to be wide. I thought the 4 had to go, right? It would have to send, even though I don't know if it has enough speed, but, it may move that 5 out a little bit. I thought the 12, was it 12? Super Wise Dragon with James McDonald up. I thought that horse may have to go from the rail, right? It gets that inside draw, and I thought he might send because I don't know if that horse wants to make up much ground. So yeah, I mean between those, I thought there was enough pace up front. The horse that I really like coming back around to, I think was the 6 Free Fall. If you look at the horse's record, right? I've always said, I like horses that kind of can come around and get back to what they want to do. And if you look at this horse's record, right, it's got 3 wins out of 28 career starts. 2 of those are at this distance. So to me, right, that would indicate, hey, this horse, of all the things that it's tried, because it's bounced around between Happy Valley and here, it was last out at 7 furlongs. It ran the 2-turn race at Happy Valley. I think it's best suited towards those 1-turn miles, right? And you kind of got to scroll way back because you're going a little over a year the last time it ran a 1-turn mile. But that's kind of its best race, even though, I mean, it didn't finish well. I think, that kind of fig wise, it holds up. So to me, probably a little bit of a shot on the 6, but hoping that, fig wise, this is really what that horse wants to do. So I think as A's, I was the 2 athleticism, like you said, and the 6 Free Fall. And then just as a kind of a large swing on them as a B horse, I kind of like the 3 Master Hero. This might be a horse that, kind of like we were talking about with Luxembourg, doesn't win a lot. It's got 5 starts at the distance, hit the board 3 times, but never really won. I think again though, if it can run its race and the figs are there, it could be competitive, right? It's drawn pretty well inside, so hopefully it gets a decent run. It should get a good trip. I think of all the horses, kind of fig wise, maybe that's another one that you can catch a price on. So again, probably going to have a couple of tickets that are using 8 or 9 horses in here because it's really competitive. But I think the 6 and the 2 is A's and the 3 is a B. Would kind of be my my other play.
Yeah, I will say that it did look like Speed Pro really likes that 3. Um, really thought I don't know if it was just it's got some back races that fit. That last race obviously regressed a ton,
Yep.
but does have back races that put this horse right in the mix. So I thought that was an interesting one. Just kind of looking at Speed Pro, just some other horses that have some back races that look competitive. The 4 and the 7 both kind of have a couple of races. The 7's got a race at Happy Valley that fits in, and a race at Sha Tin. Um, but that's from the last year, so nothing recent that's on the PPs is in here. Aestheticism is currently 5 to 2, 2.5 to 1 on at live odds here. Master Heroes at 10 to 1. Um, your horse Freeful 18 to 1. Lucky Eternity 8 to 1. We didn't talk about this horse, but mark the one horse Holy Lake. This is kind of the I know Andrew always likes to talk about was it Harvey Pack, the don't do something, don't bet a horse at a short price doing something for the first time. Well, I thought this horse was going to be a bit shorter than he is, but he's currently close, floating around 8 to 1. Now I know these are obviously very early odds, but I would take a shot on this one horse at a longer price at something like 8 to 1, 7 to 1. I thought he was going to be Well, he is second choice. I was just like, I thought he was going to be second choice easily, but yeah, with all these horses in this race, he is second choice at about 8 to 1. So, um,
Yeah, that was a weird one to me, right? I mean, that horse has two straight wins and a second before it, all going 1400. I wasn't sure why the change, right? Are they trying to prevent it from
mm,
moving up in class? I don't know. So I was confused on that one for sure. I had it as a note, but I do have it as someone who could fit. So yeah, I think watch the price.
yeah. All right, let's move on to race 9 here. Now, race 9 is another race where I think maybe we differ a little bit. This is one where you had a pretty strong opinion in, and I thought I was going to need to spread a little bit. But why don't you talk to me about your strong opinion here?
Yeah, for sure. I love one horse in this field a lot, and I think if it runs its race, it probably wins by 3 or 4 lengths. I love the 9 Flying Mojito. Again, kind of like I just said before, I think if it's getting back to what it really wants to do, right? I think that 1 turn mile, if you look, that race at the end of last season, um, it had the win. It kind of ran a huge figure from the way I'm looking at it. Granted, it was down in class 4, so there's some questions rising back up. But to me, then obviously Hong Kong takes a break after July and comes back. The horse had a good 4 months off, kind of doing some different things. Right, they ran it at 1400. They ran it at Happy Valley. I like it getting back to that 1 turn mile. I think that race, kind of before the break, and the couple races it had before the break really kind of have this field dominated if it can run back to what it was. So, I think the 9 is probably my strong A in this sequence, and I'll be putting a lot of money through that. Again, if it's on form, and I hope it is, I think this is the horse I want to put all my money through. It's ran 5 times at a 1 turn mile. It's 2 wins, 3 places, so you can't get much better than that. Um, I did have a couple Bs, right? I think the 6 Karma hasn't done this, so we kind of just talked about that. I you know think the horse obviously can be competitive, but you just don't know. I think looking at kind of some of the horses with Turn Me Loose as a sire, they're 1 for 14 running a mile. So it doesn't give me a whole lot of comfort. But I think it's probably just looking at speed wise, it's maybe one of the only other horses that could fit. The only other horse I could find, and you got to go way back to find it, it would be the 10 Zoom Boom. And again, these are kind of some soft Bs, but just looking for prices. Um, Going back to March 2022,
Hmm.
there's a race in there that looks decent enough. Um, and again, that's kind of the best race it's run at a 1 turn mile. So maybe again, I didn't check the prices, but it's drawn well. Gets Karis Teton, which is never a bad thing. I don't know what the odds are on that horse, but I was hoping it would be large enough to at least potentially sneak in as a B at some hopefully pretty decent odds. So
Well, funny enough, he's 25 to 1,
I
but
love it.
your
I
lone
love it.
A is 24 to 1.
Send it.
So
Send it in, baby. Send it in. The kids are
uh,
getting really nice gifts this year, or
there you
none.
go.
Either way.
I really like the 9 as well. Flying Mojito. And when looking at the speed map, um, I'm gonna scroll down and see if I can find it on here. Oh, I forgot. I'm like, what the heck? That's not the right race. All right. Look at the speed map. They got the 9 and the 13 kind of here as on the lead. So I did put the 13 down as kind of a B type, probably more like a C, because especially he's 57 to 1. But yeah, I really did think that Flying Mojito's got a shot here to get on the lead and just go. And there is not outside of the 13, there's not much speed. If I remember correctly, I believe the 9 is drawn inside of the 13. Let
Is
me,
just outside. I
oh,
think the
just
nine's
outside.
break
Okay,
from
they were
11, and
flipped. Yeah, I think but like they're both kind of posted outside. I think one's like in the 9 post, the other's in like the 11 or something like that.
yep, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, I had Viva Hunter as a C here. I did like you. I had Karma written down as an A. Karma is currently, well, I 1.7 to 1, so less than 2 to 1, somewhere around 8 to 5. Um, I mean, I like the horse, but I don't necessarily like it that much. So that's probably one that I might leave off. So you know, won't use single because I'm leaving it off now. I don't know. But yeah, I did like the six a little bit, but it just seems like I'm kind of using the favorite in the first leg, and it's only a pick three, so I don't want to just go through and use all of the favorites there. So I'll be lone 8 to the 9. I'll ride like you. I did have the 11 written down as a B. Might be bumped down to a C. This is just like I said. These are the types of horses I like betting because other people aren't going to bet them. This is another 50 to 1 shot, and ran 2 races in Ireland, ran down the straight, didn't seem to run all that great. Then had a one, I think it was a one turn, maybe it's two turn. I don't remember exactly what track this was at, but ran a nice win in a huge field of 20. And I mean, did go off as a favorite. And someone from Hong Kong win the calling, picked this horse up. Has been off for about 7 months. He does have 4 starts in, I believe it's 4 or 5 trial starts, and hasn't really run all that great. Last time was kind of midfield, and I think finished like fourth or fifth in his last barrier trial. So maybe one to watch out for down the road when maybe it gets bumped down a class or two, because he is coming in here at class three, so maybe more of a class four type. But I always like to bet these horses first time out because they don't get bet. And I mean, some of my biggest hits at Hong Kong have been on these shippers. I believe the longest price I've ever caught, French horse that got bought, shipped over, had like 3 starts and 2 wins, and then they bought the horse, comes over, is like 60 to 1. And I believe the $1 Quinella with either the first or second choice ended up paying like 255 to 1 or something like that. It was just insanity. So I have the 11 written down as kind of a B type, probably closer to a C. And then I also did take a look at the 7 horse here, Beauty Fit. And I, for the life of me, don't remember. Oh, this was more of a. I was like, I, for the life of me, don't remember why I like this horse, but this was one that looking at the Speed Pro figs, does have some back races that do seem to fit. Um, those were going 1400, but even going a mile does have a pretty decent race. So I thought the 7 was pretty interesting. The 2 has got a couple of back races as well that fit. Um, and I really think if you have a price you like that isn't the 6, you're gonna get the right price for it. So this is definitely, I think this is definitely a nice race to bet. I mean, heck, Zach Purton is 8-1 right now. Like that's like when Flavian Pratt goes back to California, and right, and you never see him on, a horse that's over like 3 to 1, 4 to 1. So race. Maybe it is a spread race. But yeah, we both like a 24 to 1 shot. So we apologize to the connections in advance. Um, and I don't know anything else race.
No, I don't think so. I
Okay.
mean, it's like you said. I think once you get past that six, I'm strong single, but I think to your point, there's a lot. There's a lot that has a chance in there for sure. So
All
take your
right. Well,
prices.
yep. And we're gonna close it out here with the race 10 here, 1200 meters, another class three race. And this one was pretty tough. I thought this was pretty wide open. And I landed on 3 horses. I could have used more, but yeah, I'm kind of landing on what seems to be 2 of the short prices, and then one longer price that I'm kind of actually when I'm looking at the tote board right now. Let's start with the favorite here, the 10 Kaying Victory. Um, this has just got well meant written all over it. It's got 2 wins in Griffin races, kind of like maidens or practice races, kind of things. And it's got two wins. Beat the same horse twice, which is kind of funny. But Zach Purton rode this horse in the Griffin races and sees fit to stay aboard here. And the horse is actually getting a weight break from his last race. So um, yeah, I really just don't see any reason why this horse can't kind of turn the tables over or continue. Sorry, continue his run, not turn the tables. Continue his run of victories here. Um, I I always in Hong Kong, it's interesting because we don't have this in the U.S. where you get these very lightly raced horses or maiden or first time starters or maiden horses that get put into races against winners immediately. Um, and while this horse has won two Griffin races, I mean, hasn't won a real race yet for all intents and purposes, is kind of a maiden. But I mean, he's going in here, and you had mentioned off air that there are a lot of horses that have a lot of wins in this race. The four's got four wins. The three's got three wins. You got a lot of horses in here that are winners, and you get these lightly raced horses that just show up in here. And at least in my experience, sometimes these lightly raced horses, I mean, they're usually just rockets. Like they're usually like the better horses. These are the horses that are eventually going to be your class one, your stakes type horses. So yeah, so I kind of like I said, I landed on the two of the lightly raced horses, the 10 here. Obviously, like I said, the two Griffin wins. Zach stays aboard. I mean, what's not to like? 3-1 currently on the board. Um, and then just outside, or not just outside, but the 11 horse of Underbar here for John Size and Mr. McDonald out there. And this is another horse, like I said, just coming in here with two straight wins. Has done it, has kept on very well, has sitting just off the pace. And just kind of scooted up and won. Now obviously those are both, I believe both of those are going down the straight,
Yep.
but we'll see what happens when we get a little bit of a turn added here. But yeah, I thought the 10 and the 11 made a ton of sense here as lightly raced horses. And then I had a question mark written next to this 4, but I think we'll go ahead and we'll move that up to a B. Um, this is a horse that was just in impeccable form. Right before the break, had won 3 straight, comes back off, wins another one. Zach was aboard for that win too. Um, and then they send the horse to Happy Valley, and the horse just, I don't know, he just did not run well. I don't know if you know about the date there, if there was anything weird about that date, but you know, the horse being off form or having that kind of weird that weird result last time out. Um, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna jump back on, especially because the 4 is 20-1 on the morning line. So I'm actually gonna or I will share my screen here. So I'm actually gonna click on so I clicked on the horse's name, and this is just like I said, something we can show. Let's see if we can find what happened to that horse. Unacceptable performance, but it looks like he passed whatever vet record is. So because of the horse just running up the track, they had to do a vet passed it. Um, is it movement records? There's one where they like no, that's how they move. There's one where they like interview like the jock after the fact, isn't there?
It might be in the race, in the notes. Like if you click into that last performance, there's a couple things, right?
Mm.
Um, there's the actual performance notes, and then if you go to detailed incidents, it'll talk about, you know, they interviewed the jock and it said, whatever, right? It didn't like the ground, it didn't want to get set wide, it didn't like going 2 turns, it just didn't have it today. There's a few places that squirrels it around. So I think if you click into the race and
Oh,
scroll
here we go.
down, it might say something. There you go.
Yeah. So let me blow this up because that's not going to be any helpful. But yeah, it's cool, right? You get the racing position, right? You get a bunch of information here that you just do not get at you do not get in American racing. But all is good. When questioned, Purton stated that whilst he had not specifically expected the lead tonight, he was obliged to go forward and lead when caught wide early. He said all is good came under pressure near the 800 meters and in the home straight, shifted ground, and also weakened. The assistant trainer stated that he had pleased the stable leading into the tonight's race and he could offer no explanation for the disappointing performance. Vet inspection immediately followed the race and did not show any significant findings. Uh, the performance was considered unacceptable. Before allowing the race again, he'll be required to perform a barrier trial and be subjected to an official vet examination. Noted to have lost its front right plate after the race, so maybe he had the shoe loose or something. I don't know, but it's always cool to go through and like take a look to see, hey, the horse bled, right? Something like that kind of stuff. Like you can see, and you can see after the race, see what's going on, um, and it's nice to have that information. I remember just one, like I said, the talking with my friend Tommy, he would kind of show stuff, and he was always very cryptic, right? He'd be like, "Oh, I love this horse," and it's like, "Why do you like the horse?" He's like, "Why do you think I like the horse?" And it's like, oh, fuck. So it's like you gotta dig, you gotta find why he liked the horse, and like you wouldn't find it, right? And then you have to beg him, and then he'd be like, "All right," he's like, "Look, let's look at this," and then it's like, basically like they were like, "Oh, we're just gonna give the horse a run," we weren't really, and it's like great, like that information is all out there for the bettors. They want it to be on the up and up, um, so yeah, so I think there's not real excuse for that race last out. Maybe the front left plate being loose, maybe something there happened. He didn't necessarily want to lead, and I think this is a versatile type horse. He is drawn inside or mid pack, so I think he's got options. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But you're getting a great price on this four, so I will. Yeah, I'll be aboard here. This four here, as kind of a B type. But after that tangent, Matt, where did you kind of land?
Yeah, I mean, actually, just to continue a little bit on that, I mean, you say, hey, everything's out in the open here, and it's great, and it definitely is. I will throw a couple other things out there, just as if you do like the four, there may still be even more reasons, right? Like, remember, Happy Valley's a two-turn race, right? And so, if you look at horses that are charging up, winning four straight, it went from class four up to class three. I think if it won that last race out, it would probably end up in class two. And I think maybe the connections just don't want that, or know that that horse probably can't compete at those really high levels. You end up in a really, really high end grade of horse there. So probably you put it in a spot that it doesn't want. And it keeps the rating down low, right? You can put it somewhere where you want it to go. So couple that with the fact that I think the track was playing pretty slow that day, and it wasn't like leaders were going off and wiring. I don't think anything wired that day. So, yeah, if you do like the four rate, I think a lot of the wins were at 7 furlongs. This is 6. So, yeah, there's still some questions, but like you said, 20-1. I think there are probably some valid reasons why connections might be gaming the system, and you have Zach trying to cover up for it a little bit. So I do look for stuff like that, just because that's the way rating systems work here sometimes. Right? If you have a horse charging up, um, you don't want it to end up in a really salty field too
Yeah,
soon. So I like that four, right? And I think my concern with this race, you talked about the 10, right, and the 11, and horses that haven't lost here, I think they catch the eye, right? Because if you watch the replay on Kai Ying Victory last time, yeah, it ran a good figure, but it also didn't. It wasn't ever asked. It won by 5-6 lengths, and Sack never went to the crop. Didn't have to. Just kind of ran out and went there. My concern, I guess, with having a lot of young horses and having a lot of horses that ran at those 5 furlongs is how fast are they going to go up front? Right? Are they going to have to send? And is there going to be a pace breakdown in this race? That's probably my only concern for the 10, and maybe why I moved the 11 down a little bit on my side. And I think there's a couple other horses that could benefit from that. I think the 4, like you talked about, could benefit. Um, the horse I don't like that we talked about, two back Celestial Colors. I think that horse wants to go, so I'm fading that one. I'm curious to see what price you get on that. I don't know what the morning line on the two was, but I know there was kind of a lot of weight behind that horse last time, and it was beating California Spangle in trials and all that. But I don't think this is a setup for it at all. So I'm fading that. Um, the couple other horses that did catch my eye, the 9 Module Construction. Um, this horse is probably the most consistent horse I've seen in a long time here. It's run 9 races. It's never missed a board. Keep in mind that's running in fields of 12 and 14. If you have a horse that's 9 for 9 hitting the try, that's insane. That's a really, really good string of performances. So again, you do get the 14 posts, so it's up against it today. Maybe it's not a win candidate because of that. Maybe you cross it out, but if there's a lot of speed up front, this horse is sitting second flight and can close pretty well, and it's never missed a board. I think that's a logical one to go to. The other horse that caught my eye a bit, and the performance last out just jumps off the page, was the 7 Mugen. I don't know where that came from. If you look at the 2 races before that, Zach was aboard, and it really didn't do anything. And then it takes the break for the summer, right? It's coming back off that summer layoff, and it just runs off the page immediately. And so I'm always curious when that happens. Did the horse benefit from something, right? Like did the figs that I use, right? Did they jump off the page because the pace was hot early and it kind of broke down, or does it actually have that ability, right? Can it back that performance up? And so a little bit of price dependency there, because you don't know, right? You do see those races where horses kind of bounce because it's not getting the same setup, but on paper, I think it could get the same draw, right? Have a fast pace early and be that deep closer. So depending on the track's playing too, part of the problem with being, in the U.S., this race goes off at 5 in the morning my time, Cherry 4 a.m. your time, Josh. So
Oof.
you can't, you kind of put your bets in and pass out, and then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, the track was played a lot different than I thought it was going to, and you really can't adjust those bets unless you're a true insomniac. So I think it's one that I'm hesitant on, but I think I have to play in some respect. So a really salty field, you could go a bunch of different ways. Maybe that 10 just runs off the page, or maybe there's a full breakdown and you get something like the 7, the 4, the 9, picking up some pieces too. So,
what did you call the 9?
what did I call the 9?
Yeah, what was the name of the 9?
Module Construction, I thought, or did it scratch?
Yeah, I think it scratched out.
This is what I get for doing things early.
Yeah, it's California Voce is a 9 now.
Well,
I was like,
now I can.
I was like looking at it and I was like, okay, like I was like, you said the 9, and I scrolled past and I'm like, that's not the horse I have. So okay, yeah, and that's that's a interesting thing about Sha Tin is in Hong Kong in general, is they have AEs basically for every race, and they put stuff out pretty early, and if horses scratch, they just plop another horse in there, and I think they rebalance it.
Yeah.
But
So it doesn't even tell me that horse scratched, because I wouldn't even look at it. So, well, that's awesome. I could save myself some money now. So forget everything I just said about that horse. It's incredibly consistent when it runs. But apparently it's not going today.
Yeah, Module Construction. I do not see it in here. Yeah, okay.
Nope. Good for me.
I'm
professional here,
Dude, like sometimes, and it's funny, I have a bit of ADD, right? And sometimes like someone's talking and I kind of like space out for a second. And like I heard you say that, and I heard you say the 9, so I'm scrolling down to the 9. And I'm like, that's not what he said. I'm like, wait, did I up? Like, and so like I start scrolling through the PPs trying to find this horse. So that was funny. But yeah, I think that it's kind of crazy how close we are on some things. Like there's been so many times where like you'll talk about horse, and I'm like, oh, I have horse written down, and because like me and Andrew have done this for about a year now with just various other tracks. I think the amount of times that we've agreed on a race has got to be in the single digits. Like we are just like always completely different. But Matt, you and I seem to see things at least pretty closely. Not exactly. But so it's nice to see that you know so that I'm matching. Well, maybe it isn't so nice to see that I'm matching up with you, but it's good to be able to talk with somebody of like mind over some of these races. So I appreciate it.
Josh, we've known each other for a fair bit of time now, and there's some running jokes about being on the same horses as me. We'll put it that way. So, maybe you feel a little less comfort, but hey, at least we can talk about the same things and be, at least come to some similar conclusions for some similar reasons for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, that's going to do it for us. Obviously, I'm at Cherry Drank. You can catch Matt at Slow and Steadied, at Wrong_lead on Twitter for the On the Wrong Lead feed, on the wronglead.com. And was it this one? Oh, no, it's this one. Here we go. We'll go out with a bang. We'll catch you guys later.
good luck, everybody.